Well, good morning. Welcome to another day of lockdown, but not knocked down. Today, I want to just talk to you for a few moments about prayer. Listen to this. Heaven responds to your voice. That's a really thrilling statement to me. Heaven responds to your voice. We are used to thinking that God initiates things from heaven and we respond to him. But Jesus says, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. So that's us initiating something and heaven responding to us. So I want to encourage you about prayer. Sometimes we ask that question about prayer. If God desires everyone to be saved, and if your Heavenly Father knows your needs before you ask him, well, what's the point in praying? And the answer is very simple, because prayer is a transaction between earth and heaven. And there has to be that transaction between earth and heaven for heaven to respond to earth. God needs to hear your voice asking him to do what he wants to do. Let me illustrate that from a verse in Ezekiel. God says, I looked for a man to stand in the gap so that I would not have to destroy the land. But I found none. In other words, in that situation, God's judgment and God's righteousness demanded that he would have to come and judge and destroy. But he didn't want to do that. What he wanted to do was have mercy, but he couldn't have mercy unless he could find somebody whose voice on earth would be there crying out to him, saying, Lord, have mercy. And when he hears that voice, when he hears that man, that woman standing in the gap crying out, then he says, okay, now I can have mercy. And that's prayer. Heaven responds to your voice. God is looking out. Heaven is listening to hear your voice. So why don't you name some people before him? Some of the people that God desires to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth, but he needs a transaction from earth to heaven to happen. He needs you to name those people before him. When he hears the sound of their names, then he can come in and he can act and he can answer prayer. Your voice counts. Your voice is not locked down and there are no travel restrictions on your voice. It can go straight to heaven and God can hear and answer prayer. So let that just be an encouragement to you today.